Okay, this is a little bit off the beaten path of some of the stuff I talk about, but on the side, I have a little self-defense business. Very little. Um, my main thrust is to get people a little bit more aware of their surroundings. My other really main thrust is that we need to protect our daughters, our sisters, our moms, our aunts, our grandmothers, and so on. Next door neighbors, people, women, okay? Women, children, but women, I'm aiming this towards women and young girls. But I'm also going to tell you this is twofold here, okay? The first thing is that women don't want to talk about needing self-defense, okay? I've heard women say the following to me. Well, why don't you just let him do it to you? Okay, well, doesn't mean you're going to survive, all right? First of all, complete and utter dignity is taken away from the victim. Whether they're robbed, or they're raped, or they're just abducted, it doesn't matter, or they're beaten, okay? It's not like, you know how people joke around and they go, well, how pregnant are you? You're just a little pregnant? You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant, okay? You're either victimized or you're not victimized. It's not in between. It's the same thing. I had enough people who I thought were my friends. I did play dates with them and everything. But the minute I started doing self-defense, the women, not the men, the women, turned their nose up at me. They couldn't handle it. They didn't want to know. I have to write a fiction book about domestic violence because to protect people, but also so that people will read it and have discussions. Okay? Because they can't handle the real thing, so I got to write a fantasy, which I'm in the middle of doing. Take that subject, put it in a parking lot, deal with it. You're going to tune me out right now if you're a woman who has this incredible resistance way. Everybody should be saving you. Now I'm going to tell you why we don't have as much protection as we maybe in a perfect world could. All right. People are very, very unwilling. They don't know what it takes to really train a police officer. They don't know what it takes to keep a police officer well trained throughout his or her career, whether it's 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. I know people who put in 30 years. Okay. And what they need is they need to be able to go to the rifle range. They need to be with a range officer at least once a month, if not every other week. And they have to get paid for it. Simple. The other thing that a police officer needs, he or she needs, on a regular basis, we're talking after boot camp, every week of their life, they need one good course that they take regularly. And again, taxpayers have to pay for this. They have to be willing to pay for this. I've heard people say the dumbest things in the world, but I'll leave that in a parking lot and tell you about that later. And that is they need to know ground. It's not just striking. They need to have once a week for an hour to an hour and a half a week. They need to have some form of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training, Sambo, something that's ground, some form of submission, grappling without choking, because they're not allowed to choke. They can't choke, in most states, okay? And you got to remember, they may have an asp, which we also have known in the past as a baton, okay? They can't use that on joints. I've asked them, because I've worked in enough gyms where there were police officers, and I've done a little bit of role playing, and they use my body as a dummy, and because I'm kind of wild and crazy, and I'm small, I'm kind of hard to arrest because I'm small. I'm easy to arrest because I don't run that fast, but I'm hard to arrest because I can handle a lot of pain, I can handle a lot of slamming, I can take all sorts of stuff. So a lot of times when people see a 180-pound man try to arrest a woman who's on drugs who's 105 pounds, it looks terrible. He looks bad. Okay? It doesn't look good. And the reason why it doesn't look good is because people don't understand what this guy has to deal with, or this female police officer. But we don't have a good amount of female police officers. I think in Bergen County, I don't think we do have a ton. We have a few, I've met them, but I don't meet them that often. It's very rare still to this day. So if you want better protection for your community, you can't sit there and go, well, we have too many cops. You have to really assess it. Go to the board meetings, see how many police officers you have. Find out, look at the blogs. You got to remember, whenever somebody is having a heart attack, they got to have a police officer there. dies in the house, they got to have a police officer there. You've got a DWI. Let's say it's midnight. You got a DWI. Not only one police officer shows up. What is the female? Now you got two police officers showing up. Because they might call a female police officer on duty. I know a few female cops who only work those types of things, all right? So you've got that. And in a town, even if it's 1 square mile or 2 square miles, and it's a small town, and there's 7,000 people or 10,000 people, okay? And maybe you have 2 or 3 guys on duty, maybe, all right? You still need to cover that heart attack, that DWI, the house fire, the domestic violence case, and something else that's going on in the 8,000 or 7,000 or 10,000 people. Okay? Someone will say, oh, they didn't get here till... But look what you're paying for. You pay for what you get. I also believe that in our schools, you want to prevent certain catastrophic things. When I was born in 1962, I had 3.6 billion people in the world. I think it was like that. Now we're near 8 billion. I'm sure the next census, I don't know when they're going to do it again, they're claiming now it's, 7.2 billion or something like that. It's much more than that. So now it's more than doubled from when I was born. And everything's faster. You got internet, you got faster cars, you got phones, and then there's all sorts of violations that go with that when you're driving. Okay? That's a lot of pulling people over. Okay? And then again, you might need 2 police officers, 2 cars. It just may be that way, and that's for safety. I've seen it where a female cop who was quite robust pulled a guy over and the guy wouldn't pull over. Oh, yeah. I think he knew it was a female. And finally he pulled over, and then he pulled over in a more secluded area. And me being who I am, what did I do? I made sure he saw that I turned my watch off and I went like this. She didn't see me. He saw me. I made sure that the guy that she had pulled over would see me so that things would transact properly. Okay, so as a citizen, if you'll feel that gutsy to do that, because I have no problem doing it at all right? That's just my mind. That's my military mind. That takes over immediately when I see something like that. I know that's not right. I don't care what the guy looks like. I mean, this guy was white. He was in one of those big pickup trucks. He's like, I'm a man and you're not going to pull me over. He was like that. I could tell. I could just tell by the way he pulled over and the way he acted. And she just said, listen, don't step out. So you got to realize that in front of our schools, there may be times when I think it's not such a bad idea to perhaps have maybe even a National Guard person, fully armed, flak jacket and all, outside of the school if there's been problems. And people say, oh, that's way over the top. It's not over the top. This is what I believe. Okay? It's not over the top, not to me. I see a lot, I know a lot more than these women who stick their head in the sand. I don't know how the men are. I know how they are. They're not sticking their head in the sand, actually, because when they have daughters, they change their mind. Women have daughters, they don't change their mind. Okay? Because they don't want to talk about it. They want to go, la, 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 la. I don't want to hear it. That's what they do. They do that, la, 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 la. So, anyway, food for thought on a serious subject. This is just my input. So if you want better coverage, as police officers, you have to make proper demands in your town. Okay? Not crazy demands. You don't get shouting and crazy. Like, maybe you want your police officer to be more physically fit. Well, maybe they should get a discount on gym passes. You ever think about that one? I don't think that's a bad idea. I think it's a great idea, and the town should invest in it. And that's what it comes down to. You pay for what you get. Same thing with teachers. Same thing with nursing. All the same. Most people are not bad workers. They're not. Most people will work pretty well and take orders. If you treat them right, most people, even if you don't treat them right, will still take orders and do a good job. That I've seen too. I was in the military a long, long time ago, but it still holds true. So that's it for today. Food for thought. Have a nice day. Stay safe.